Hey, Diane DeWald with CreativeCatCrafts.com. This is take number 3, so hopefully third time's charm. I don't know what's up with me today. So this is the card that I'm going to demonstrate today. This beautiful little rosebud with thanks. It is watercolored, and for years I have tried to watercolor, and for the life of me, I have not been successful at it. I have pencils, I have markers, I have tubes, I have pans, you name it. I've tried the watercolor medium and I've not been successful until I took a Mary Polanco class and she introduced to me these Arteza real brush pens. For me, this was a watercolor revolution and game changer. I just love these pens. So let me put these aside real quick so that I don't get them all messed up with what we're going to do here. But the Arteza, if you're interested in giving them a try, I'll have a link to them down below in the video description. It's Arteza. They're from Amazon. They come in different size sets with the number of markers. I don't remember how many are in the Pro. I think there's 24 or 36 maybe in the Classic. I went ahead and picked up the Premium only because with the Premium you get 96 pens plus a watercolor, what do they call those? It's a water fillable, one of the fillable watercolor markers. I'm going to call it a marker, lack of a better term. But out on Amazon for $59.95, you get this case. If you don't want the case, you actually pay almost $10 more at $69.34. So for me, I went ahead and bought the one with the case. It was a no-brainer. So we're going to paint this rosebud. The stamp is from Altenew. It's got this cute little rosebud, little thanks. And I picked this up from Altenew. I think this was one of those add to the cart for a really reduced price, or it might have been a freebie. I didn't note it on the back of the stamp. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on what's coming in the box. You know, happy mail time. So let's go ahead and get this started. And my focal point, I'm going to go ahead and use my Misty. My focal point is 3 3/4. Let me just make sure. Yep, 3 3/4 by 5 inches. That's the focal point I wanted. So I am very sorry for the glare over here. Oops, got to get the stamp on there first. And let's get the rosebud on there first. I want that. And then the thanks, I'm just going to put right there. Hopefully you guys are all squared away and not crooked, which wouldn't be terrible, just annoying. So I am going to emboss this with clear embossing powder. And I forgot one thing, so hang on one second. I'm going to pause you. Okay, I always like to have a piece of copy paper when I'm working with embossing powder. I get it everywhere, which is why I don't do a whole lot of embossing. So I have also this Nocturne VersaFine Clair. I usually use Stays On, and again, thank you, Mary Polanco. This gives such a crisp image impression when you're stamping. It's unbelievable. It is a pigment ink. Since we are embossing, I want a little extra time, so I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. I don't think I'll have to do 2 impressions. And I'll get my little doohickey here, my little slider for my pressure tool. That's what they call these, pressure tool. And voila. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. I'll clean that up here in just a moment. I'll put you on pause and clean that up. Actually, I'll bring it back in just a moment. But before I do anything else, I want to get this. Oh, and I didn't use my little buddy. Since we are using clear embossing powder, I tend to forget to do my little embossing buddy. There. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we're good. I'm going to go ahead and close this up. Get my little heat tool out here. Get it going. I am going to mute you for just a second while I get this thing heated up. Okay, there we are. It is all heat embossed, and you can see the shininess of the embossing there. I think it's really hard to pick up the clear embossing on the camera, so hang on one second. Like I said, I was going to get this cleaned up, and I use, let me see if I can get you a little closer so you can, whoa, nope, I was zoomed in. There, how's this? Okay, so this is how I clean. I'm using an archival ink cleaner for the on my pigments, and then I just quickly dab that around. Then I take a baby wipe and scrub it down. And so this is just one of those paint edgers. And I use this to clean that off. I have one for my pigment inks, and then I have another for my regular non-pigment inks. So let me put this stamp away, clean up my Misty here, and then we can get coloring. Okay, here we are. And I'm gonna go get one thing. I'll be right back. I keep forgetting to break this out. A little turntable. Thought this would be the appropriate time to do that. There. That way I can turn this around as I color. So with the real brush pens, you're not going to color the whole image. I'm just going to come in here and just kind of do some of the outlines and try to place some of the color where you're going to have some shadow. Mary Polanco is much better at this. I'm learning. Okay, there's my red. And let's see if I can, oh, you are as close as I can get you right now. So I'm basically taking this colorless and I'm starting, oops, and I got a place where I'll show you how I fix that. And I'm starting in the more color and then pulling it up. Because I have discovered that not only does this move the color around, you can actually lift color. And then I'm gonna, oops, you can't see that. down. I'm going to add a little more color here in just a moment. Add a little more color here that I can drag up or down depending on which direction I'm going. There, that's better. Sorry to move my hand in front of you. Okay, so I'm wiping on a paper towel because I'm cleaning off the tip. Now down here, I don't know if you can see it, I have a little bit where I went outside of the lines, and I have discovered that if I go in, oops, sorry, that's my husband's airplane. If I just don't go back and forth, but just kind of drag this along, and it'll pick up the color. So where I bobbled outside the line, you can hardly see it now. Isn't that beautiful? I love this. And over to the green. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull this down where you're going to have shadow. Sorry, I'm concentrating, so I'm not speaking. And add a little more color where I was. And then I'm just going to use this pen, the colorless pen, and pull it out of where the color started and just pull it down. And I am using, whose cardstock am I using? I am using the Bristol Smooth by Strathmore. If I was doing some true watercolor and doing a lot of back and forth, clean this off, and voila, we are done. Isn't that beautiful? And how quick that was? So I'm going to grab my heat tool. I want to set this, so I'm going to mute you again real quick. So I said set, but it's really just drying the watercolor. So let me move you back out just a smidge. Move all of that aside because we don't need that. And I don't need this anymore. And we can finish this card. So the backing, oh, I moved you out too far. So the backing is, I missed my black mat because it had rulers on it. So this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And use my little glue bottle. I like using the fine tip glue bottle versus the Tombow regular glue, so that I can control how much glue comes out. Some of the cardstocks I have noticed if you put too much glue on it, man, I know you've got glue. Oop, see, you get a little glob like that. I'll fix that here in a minute. I need to clean my glue tip. So a little bit too much globs, but I definitely need to take that tip off and clean it up. Just like that. And I am going to, there we go, get my Teflon folder. Pressure on the back. Oh, that's beautiful. And from my cut cardstock, my 5.5 by 8.5 that they scored for me. I paid just a little bit more just to get that, but it's great. I don't have to take the time. It's less wear and tear on my blades, on my trimmer. I definitely need to clean my tip. Easy peasy on the front, just like that. Then my Spellbinders black discs. Just need a couple of those. Don't need a lot of glue. Just a little dot. And from scrapbook.com, this is the greatest thing. This is a little wax tip, and I'm just going to heat up on the palm of my hand. And they just, excuse me, they just, oh, come on. Easy peasy, just like that. These little discs are concave one direction, so when you saw me flipping them out, not flipping them off, flipping them out, I was actually turning them over. So let me put these back into, and I will set this upright so that I know to clean it. And just like that, we have a beautiful budded watercolored inked rosebud thank you card. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love this. So let me show you a couple of, sorry, again, that's my husband's. So I did this. This was on the Strathmore Bristol Smooth. Wish I'd used watercolor on this, or watercolor cardstock on this, because all of this coloring, this did pill a little bit, but I just love this. So again, I was testing out my blending, and I noted which cardstock or which colors of the Bristol of the Arteza real brush pens. I noted the colors that I used on this. And then, isn't this fun? A little turtle. I used embossing, the clear embossing powder with a I think it's the walnut stain distress oxide ink, or no, distress ink. And let me show you real quick. I did this for my husband's aunt. So it's a little bit different coloring that I used for the turtles. And I wish I had written down on this other one the colors that I used on this shell, because it's just beautiful. But that is my watercoloring success. And I used the clear embossing to help me stay in the lines, although you did see I went outside of the line on this. I thank you for joining me in this short little journey for watercolor. I'm hoping to do a whole lot more. I have all kinds of stamped images, some of the same, some different. This is going to be fun. That I can just sit down in front of the TV and do some watercoloring. So thanks for joining me today. I'll have the links down below for you for the items that I said, and hopefully you can give this a try. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.